I have two tunnel portals that I need to install on the layout. I have this one here, and then I also have this one. They're glued in place, and I need to tie in the scenery between where the portal is and what scenery I already have done. So I decided to try using the 3D pen, and I'm going to use PLA plastic, and we'll see how this works.
So I was thinking of doing the paper mache and stuff, but I needed some kind of supports in here so it doesn't just hang down too low. So this is paper mache that's painted with latex paint. This is a foam board that's a support for the racetrack, and this is corrugated plastic which the racetrack is sitting on. And then this is paper mache that already has some landscape on it. This here is foam board with printed paper on the front. So I'm going to try to use the plastic pen to do a mesh that'll support my scenery and fill this in. So if this works, I'll look like a genius. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to feel stupid that I recorded it.
Now, I already did a couple of lines of plastic, but my hand was in the way. And I wanted to show you this. So you see I started from the one side and take it over to the other side, and you see how the plastic kind of hangs down. And I just take my finger and kind of lift it up. It's kind of hot since it just came out of the pen, but you can hold it up till it cools, and you can see how I already have the other ones. I lifted those up, and then when they cool, they'll stay in the shape of how you're holding them. So I attached it to the hill and then to the tunnel portal, and then I kind of lift it and hold it in place a little bit till it cools. But I'll say again, the stuff comes out kind of hot, so it'll be a little bit warm. Now that the lines are connecting the tunnel portal to the scenery, I've got to do the lines going across them, which gives it the strength. One thing I want to mention here, which I'm not doing it right in this part of the video, the plastic is really hot right when it comes out of the pen, and that's when you want to be touching the lines that are going across there, so the plastic will stick to the plastic that's already there. So you see how I'm kind of touching it right there, touching those lines. That way it'll stick better to those lines of plastic. It's really surprising how strong this is by doing this. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this. Don't have to wait for anything to dry. It's all ready to go. Ready to get some paper mache on it. And it's pretty strong. I'm surprised how strong it was. Now it's ready for some paper mache. So I used Mod Podge, just regular Mod Podge, and newspaper for this one. I hadn't used Mod Podge before, but it seemed to work pretty well. Not much to see here, so we'll go right to the end. Now I'm going to paint it with some old latex paint that we have, and I'll put my ground cover right onto the latex paint. Let it dry there. This is the other tunnel portal I have to do. When I made the mountain, I kind of messed up that angle, and I wanted it to be less of an angle across the track so my clearance wouldn't be so bad. And where that's glued in place, I'll need to fill in this part and connect that scenery. I couldn't record doing this one because it sits back in the corner of the basement, but this is what it came out like, and it was better than the other one because this was the second one I did, so it's stronger and worked out well. I did a paper mache on this one. The only thing different I did was I used PVA glue, regular white school glue. I thinned it down about 50%. I used that instead of Mod Podge because I was running low on Mod Podge. So the next thing for this was to paint it with some latex paint and add some ground cover and foliage. So after the paper mache dried, I painted it with the latex paint and then put the ground cover into the paint so it's stuck to the paint. This is the back side. I had black flat latex paint that I used on the back side because that's not on the side of the layout. Now I have this left to do. That's spackling. There's a little gap right in between my tunnel portal and the hillside, so I filled that with some spackling, and that wasn't dry when I did this video, so I'm going to show you how I did the ground cover with that. So this is flat latex paint. I didn't go buy it. This was in a crawl space, and I just used what I had. So I mixed it with a little bit of the black so it would be a little bit darker because it was tan and it was too light. So the first thing I do is I paint with the latex paint, or if it's something that's already colored, doesn't need to be painted, I'll just use Mod Podge and do this with Mod Podge. Smear the Mod Podge on first and then stick the ground cover onto the Mod Podge. So I do the same thing with the paint. After I get it painted, then I put the ground cover right into the paint so it'll stick to it. That's why I use the latex paint for this kind of stuff, just because it's thicker and it works better for that. For ground cover, I'm using forest moss from Joann Fabrics craft stores. I've used that around the woods and stuff on the layout, and I like the way it looks. It looks pretty good, and it's pretty inexpensive, especially if you can get the coupons at the Joann Fabrics if you have one of those stores near you. I have my sister or my wife pick me up some of this stuff when they're there if I need more. But one package will last you a long time and will really do a lot of stuff. I use all different types of stuff for ground cover, whether it's wood dust or, well, if you've seen any of my videos, you'll see the stuff that I've used. Wood ashes or other kinds of dirt, and I sift them out and use it. This forest moss, I like it, but it does kind of smell. I mean, it smells like moss, I guess. So one thing that I do after I use the forest moss is I'll, when it's all dried and everything and I have it the way I want it to look, I spray it with an acrylic sealer, and that makes it not smell so much like moss. And I like how it looks, and comes out good. Now I'm just filling in some paint where I hadn't put any ground cover down yet, so painted that with some latex paint and then adding some more forest moss to it. So that's pretty much how I do all the scenery for ground cover. Either Mod Podge and put the ground cover on that, or use latex paint. Let's take a look and see how this looks. All that's still wet. This stuff on top is all dry. And that's solid. One of the things I do with the forest moss after it's dry, I'll pull up on some of it. If it doesn't stick, I'll just go ahead and take it off. But if it sticks, I just pull it up, and it makes the branches and leaves stand up a little bit. Makes it look like there's individual bushes. You can see this stuff is pretty strong. I'm pretty happy with this. I'll show you the 2 tunnel portals real quick for the end of the video. Thanks for watching.